My name is Steve. I was involved with the Army crew team at West Point, and an incident occurred during my last year associated with the team, which caused me a little bit of a dilemma. We coached a team that's called the lightweight crew, and their responsibility was to row at a certain weight. They had a coxswain who steered the boat, who they expected to weigh a certain amount of pounds because, carrying around a lot of weight was detrimental to the success of the boat. During the weigh-in at a major championship, this young lady believed that she had heard the official tell her that her weight was 122 pounds. The boat raced, they were successful, and at the end of the race, one of the young men on the boat happened to notice the official record of the weight of himself, his teammates, and this young lady. And instead of the weight being 122, her weight was actually recorded as 142. Well, he was incensed by the fact that she may have lied to him because of the honor code at West Point. And so he and his boatmates accosted the young lady that evening in the hotel room. And this wasn't just a question and answer period. This was almost a physical assault on this young lady, backing her into a corner, accusing her of lying, not really asking more, did you do this, and why could you lie, and how could you lie to us, and we have the official record right here, and you said 122, how could you be so far off? She was physically frightened by the way they were accosting her, and so she ran out of the room crying. I knew of none of this because I had not accompanied the team on this particular event. When the team returned that weekend, the coach of the team and these four young men came to my house to inform me of what had happened and to seek my advice on what they should do. Now, at West Point, a cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. And in this particular case, they thought that her actions constituted a violation of the honor code, and they wanted to turn her in. My concern was twofold. My concern was certainly with the fact that this young lady might have lied, but my concern also was with the fact that they had accosted her, and at West Point at the time, the abuse of young ladies, the assault on young ladies or harassment of young ladies was a very, very hot topic. And anyone even considered to be in violation of the law that you don't harass or assault young ladies was to be dealt with severely. I believe that their actions in the hotel room constituted or was very close to harassment of this young lady, and that if they turn her in for cheating or lying, that their actions would come under scrutiny. So I did a little bit of investigation. I asked members of the Cadet Honor Committee what they thought of this particular situation. They told me that there was enough problems with what had happened and that there was enough incongruity in the testimony of these cadets and the young lady, as well as the official, that probably nothing would come of it. And so I brought the coach and these four men into my office, and we discussed what their actions should be. And my recommendation to them was that they should do what they thought best. However, they should take into consideration the fact that should they bring charges against this young lady, that the potential that they would get in a lot of trouble was there. I didn't consider what they did as harassment. I considered it unprofessional, and I considered it out of character for these four young men. But I knew that in the climate at West Point at the time, those above me would probably not see it the same way and be harsher with their discipline. There were two seniors on the team, and this was probably a month before graduation. And I think those two seniors realized that should this come to light, they would probably not be able to graduate with their classmates because of what might happen to them. When it was all said and done, they told me that they did not think that there was sufficient evidence against this young lady to warrant all of the trouble that might come from their actions, and so they decided not to turn her in. It was a difficult question because the two seniors decided not to turn her in, while the two younger members of the team, not as concerned with graduating, still wanted to pursue it. And I believe it was the two seniors that convinced the two younger guys that they were going to let this drop. So the two graduated. However, about a year later, actually, the assistant coach on the team, who was with the team at the time, decided that she could not stand by any longer and wanted to bring this to light that she believed this young lady a year ago had lied. We had a long conversation. I again explained to her what the consequences for the team and for the young men still at West Point might be, and she still pursued this. And so she turned the young lady in for lying. There was a very quick investigation. It was determined that, in fact, there was not enough evidence, as I thought there would not be, to convict this young lady, so the case was dropped. However, the actions of the two young men were scrutinized, and they were punished. The two officers were potentially going to be brought back to West Point to be dismissed, or not dismissed, but disciplined. That didn't happen, but it became a very severe blight and mark on the reputation of the Army crew team, as I thought it might be. However, this assistant coach decided that she could not live with her conscience, knowing that this particular woman might have lied, and she wanted to see it all the way through. It was an interesting dilemma. This was a difficult situation for me personally, because one of my responsibilities at West Point was as an ethical mentor to a company of 120 cadets, meaning I was responsible for their ethical and moral education, because West Point takes that very seriously. Cadets don't lie, they don't cheat, they don't steal, they don't abuse other people, they're not disrespectful, and there's a lot of education that needs to occur during the 4 years that cadets are there to disabuse them of some of the faulty ideas that they come to West Point with, and to ensure that we have young professionals who don't have these attitudes entering the Army. And so I took the ethical education of our cadets very seriously. And so this was as much a dilemma for me as it was for the four young men. When the woman coach brought this situation to the attention of the authorities, I was brought before the leadership of West Point and came close to being reprimanded for not bringing this case to the light of the authorities, because supposedly it was my responsibility. When I explained myself to the leadership of West Point, they understood my reasoning, they understood the advice I gave, they understood that it really was not my place, that it was the place of the cadets. But for a period there, it was a very difficult situation for me, because this person who's supposed to be an ethical and moral mentor was being portrayed by some as someone who did not make the correct ethical and moral choice when it came to the young lady who might have lied.